Made with Love by Integral.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Gwen Sung is a modern young parent raising two dynamic kids. She is embarked on a journey of starting her own platform called Culture Tater Tots and is raising bilingual dual culture kids. Thank you so much, Gwen, for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. And right off the bat, let me ask you to please introduce yourself. Tell us about what is the inspiration behind Culture Tater Tots?
Sure. So hi, I'm Gwen, and I was born and raised here in New York, New Jersey area. And my parents are originally I have family in Taiwan and also in China. And I think Culture Tater Tots started really during pandemic time. I was really inspired because my daughter was one. And I remember my mom she put together a really lovely zongzi making session, which is like a glutinous rice dumpling to celebrate Dragon Boat Festival. So we were doing this with my daughter and she was having so much fun. And it just hit me where I was thinking, oh my gosh, can I do this for her and her kids later on when I'm a grandma? And I think that just really brought to the forefront of the thought of how am I going to pass down our cultural identity and traditions to her when I'm not the most familiar with all the details of it. Being born and raised here and grew up here in the States, you're not surrounded by your culture all the time. So that was really the spark that motivated me to start this platform, because I realized there are a lot of parents like me, for a whole host of reasons, want to share culture with their kids, but may not feel like feels very daunting and overwhelming because they're not as familiar with it. So I started Culture Tater Tots to share cultural tidbits on my Instagram. But then I also started creating kits to help families celebrate Chinese holidays. So more recently, I launched the Mooncake Play Kit to help them celebrate Mid-Autumn Festival. And that's just how things started. And I've gotten just wonderful messages from all around the world from different families who use my content for different reasons. So that's really how it started.
Tell me a little bit about how it was when you were growing up, because I assume that would be different from how you are raising your kids. So, and what do you feel are the challenges of raising kids today in an increasingly cross-cultural environment?
So when I was growing up, I was fortunate enough where my parents really emphasized learning the language at home. So I am able to speak Mandarin, and they really helped us learn the different holidays and the traditions to it. I would say what was challenging growing up was it almost felt like I had two identities. My identity at home, which is like, Chinese rich culture, the food, everything. And then I had like my outside school identity, where we ate different things, celebrate different holidays, and I couldn't figure out how they related to each other. There was no bridge that gave me a reference of, why don't other people celebrate this? I just felt like this is like a weird thing we do at home and then no one else does it. So I think that was challenging growing up. And right now, today, I would say it's a lot more common. At least kids are a little bit more exposed to other cultures. I think a challenge is more on the parenting side of keeping up and understanding other cultures as well, because as my kids are exposed to other cultures, I want to help them be able to bridge and relate that to our culture. So I think that's the challenge, but also in a good way, I guess. And we're trying to raise our kids bilingual as well. And I think that's also challenging, being that, we are in an English dominant country. So it's very hard to hold on to this minority target language. So I think that is definitely a challenge that we are starting to struggle with, because now Ava is going to school and things like that and exposed to more English surroundings.
How do you go about nurturing identity through language and beyond language? What are sort of your top 3 tips to parents who are also trying to do that today?
I would say consistency is key. So however you want to develop your language, stick to it. And really, whether it is, we always speak at home, or we always say these few sentences in a different, your target language, I think no matter what your goals are, consistency is key. I think it's also framing language as a superpower. You know, you're able to connect with different people, to connect with culture. You can order food, you
I
can do
love
so
that.
many.
I'm
Feel
gonna
like
repeat
this
that.
is a superpower. Yeah, it's a
Absolutely.
superpower, and not be ashamed of it or embarrassed of speaking a
Yes.
different language. So I think it's framing in that way so that they feel like, oh, this is something special. This is something very powerful, because it is. It really, it connects you with not only people, but your past, your, you know, your culture, everything. It's very different when you connect with culture in that native language. So I think those are my two main tips. Like, stay consistent and make them proud of this superpower that they have. Yeah.
And I suppose make them proud and have fun with all the other aspects of the culture and heritage, right? So tell us about your favorite products from Culture Tater Tots, and what should we look out for in the coming months?
Yeah, I something that I'm really excited is that we just launched our mooncake play kit. So that is a Play-Doh kit that has molds where you can make Play-Doh mooncakes. And I also include like a lantern craft, because that is also part of Mid-Autumn Festival, and a wipe clean. This is, I'm super excited about this, but it is wipe clean activity book. So this is great for kids from 3 to 6. You know, they can explore the culture while having so much fun doing little challenges while they're learning. And it's very, very colorful. So I think that is probably one of my most favorite part of the kit, but we just launched it recently, and we are selling it all through Mid-Autumn Festival. So find it. Yeah, you can find it on my website. So culturetatertots.com. And there it will let you know how to order if you're in the US, and also how to order if you're in the in Canada as well.
And thank you for telling us your story as well. And I usually end with sort of one last question for every young parent. What are the essential skills you think kids need today? So it's not like ABCD and math, but you know, sort of what essential soft skills do you think kids need today, and how would you encourage parents to nurture that?
Yeah, so hands down, I would say empathy. I think the world, you know, so many things can be resolved if everyone had more empathy for each other. So I think I try to nurture that with my kids by having them think about how other people are feeling in that moment as well. Like, why do you think this happened, or why do you think they did that, you know, and see how we can help them from a helping standpoint, rather than like, they're right, you're wrong, or you're wrong, they're right. And being very black and white in that sense. It's really understanding where people are coming from. I think that is a skill set that will not only help them in relationship, in life, but also work, because a lot of times empathy at work helps so much. So we always review like our values is you have to be kind, you have to be patient, you have to have respect, and you have to be brave. So these are kind of values that we repeat. And I always say it's not just be kind to others, it's also be kind to yourself. So you're not just patient with others, but also patient with yourself. So these values, you know, respect others, but you also have to have self-respect. You have to be brave for others, but be most important, be brave for yourself. So I think repeating these values, even though they may not fully understand the extent of what it means, but she's already repeating these things randomly throughout the day. So don't think that just because your kids are young, they don't understand. They understand way more than we give them credit for.
Absolutely.
So, you know, having these values up front is really helpful.
Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for telling us your story, telling us about Culture Tater Tots, and we'll provide all the links for people who are interested in all your lovely goodies, especially for the upcoming season. Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Visit us at integralkids.com for more.